So in the last video, you learned about services. You saw the difference between a bound service and a started service. If you haven't seen the previous video, I'll request you to go ahead and watch it and then come back to this one. In this one, we'll continue from the earlier video. So in the last video, we created a simple intent service, right? And if you remember, the intent service is a started service. So it keeps running in the background until it's completed, and it doesn't depend on the activity which is calling the service. Okay. So in this video, I want to demonstrate how this works. So what I've done is in the survey app, I've added a new button, Start Service. And the idea is on click of this button, the intent service will be called and it will show you a log message in the console, and the log message will be printed after 10 seconds this button is clicked. Okay, so let's see how, first of all, the code base for this example. So in the main activity content main XML, I've added a button which is pretty straightforward. You can go ahead and add a simple button and which has a ID. Coming to the main activity class, so I've got a reference to this button here, and then I've set a listener, set on click listener. Okay, so that when the button is clicked, then you know this method on click gets called, and in this method the it'll check for the action, whether this button was clicked or not. And if this button was clicked, then the next step is calling the service. So calling an intent service is pretty straightforward. It's like calling an intent. So you just say intent and you mention the service name, and then you say start service. Okay, instead of start activity, it becomes start service. And once you do this, then in the sample service on handle intent method is invoked. Okay, and if you see this method, then in the synchronized block there is a wait call for 10 seconds, and after that a log is printed. So it's pretty simple example just to illustrate how the intent service will work. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. So I have this open, the app open. I'm just going to click on this and see the log messages that appear. So I click on this. Okay, sorry. Actually, let me rerun this example so that you see it in action. Okay, and if you observe, this is Android Studio 2, which I'm now using. So the emulator is pretty cool with a lot of options here. You can rotate, you can take a picture, capture a screenshot, stuff like that. So I've discussed this in another video. So let's see if our code is running. What we'll do is we'll kill this and then rerun that. So it takes a while for the app to run and show up. But the idea for intent service, so what all you can do using this. So once you call a service, you can start a file download. You can play some music in the background, and it keeps on playing, stuff like that. Okay. So I guess there is some issue. Let me close this emulator. I think there's some memory issue. That's why it's having a problem. So like I was saying, you can, I am rerunning the emulator again. So you can play music, you can download a file, and I've used this concept in my widgets also. In Android widgets, you can have an intent service, which is pretty useful actually. So there are a lot of use cases, and especially if you have seen like driving apps like Uber, so they utilize services in the background. So hopefully the emulator should come up now and we'll see this in action. And you can also view the source code in GitHub repository. I've already checked it in. And then you can also view my blog. I keep writing on my blog, so you can learn more details on my blog. I usually provide a link to the blog in the video itself, so just filling in for the time. Okay. So the emulator is also pretty cool, and Android Studio 2 um, has a lot of features, like there is a runtime stuff also. We'll talk about that. So looks like the app came up. So I'm going to do a couple of things. Clear the log so that you see what's happening. Okay. So click on the back button. Okay. Let's click on start service. Okay. So once I click this, you see service button click after 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, the message will be printed. Okay. Let's wait for 10 seconds and service started. So this is a simple example which shows you how you can use a sample service, how you can call it, and you know add whatever functionality you want to. So go ahead, look at the source code, try running this app on your own. You can import it from GitHub, and think about different ways in which this feature can be used. Okay, thanks.